November 22nd, 1944. Camp Gruber, Oklahoma. The wind here does not simply blow, it hunts. It screams across the flat, desolate plains of the American Midwest, carrying the grit of the Dust Bowl and the biting chill of a winter that settles deep in the marrow. There's no cover here. There are no ancient ruins to hide behind, no stone cellars to crawl into, just miles of sharp barbed wire, the skeletal silhouettes of wooden watchtowers, and an endless, indifferent gray horizon that swallows the sky. Inside the wire, 3,000 men stand in rigid formation, but to call them all men is a lie. Look closer, past the hardened veterans of the Africa Corps, past the scars and the sun-bleached skin of soldiers who fought Rommel's war in the desert. You will find the children. Hans Weber is 16 years old, a child of Berlin. He is standing in the Oklahoma mud, shivering in a Wehrmacht uniform that is 2 sizes too big for his malnourished frame. He is a boy drafted into the Volkssturm in the dying breath of the Third Reich, handed a rifle he could barely lift, and told to hold the line against the world. Captured in France, he was shipped across an ocean he didn't know existed, to a land he was told was filled with monsters. He is 5,000 miles from the burning streets of his home. He has been told by his superiors fanatical officers who still believe in final victory that the Americans are gangsters. He has been told that this camp is merely a holding pen for execution, that the cowboys here shoot prisoners for sport, that the food is poisoned, that he will never see his mother again. Hans stands in the freezing wind, his teeth chattering so violently he can hear the sound rattling inside his skull. He is waiting to die. He does not know that this frozen, barren field is about to become the only home he has ever truly known. Hans is not a Nazi. He is a terrified teenager who misses his mother's cooking. He is a boy who likes mathematics and stray dogs. But here, he is just Fritz. He is the enemy, and his enemy has a face. Elias Thorne is 52 years old. He is a weather-beaten Oklahoma farmer with hands like tree bark and a face carved from granite. He is a man of few words, molded by the harsh depression years in the unforgiving land. He drives his battered truck to the camp gate every morning at dawn. He needs labor. The war has taken all the young men away. The war took Elias's son, too. Not dead, but gone. Fighting in the Pacific Theater, buried in a foxhole on an island called Peleliu. Every day, Elias waits for the telegram. Every time the local sheriff's car drives down the dirt road, Elias's heart stops. He lives in a state of suspended grief, a father with no one to father. When Elias looks at the prisoners, he is supposed to see the architects of his misery. He is supposed to see the monsters who set the world on fire. He is supposed to see the hatred that is keeping his boy away from home. But when he points a calloused finger at Hans to climb into the truck, he doesn't see a monster. He sees a child. He sees a boy trembling so violently that he drops his shovel in the mud. He sees fear. Raw, primal fear. The truck rattles down a dirt road that stretches into infinity. The silence in the back is suffocating. Hans sits on the cold metal floor, clutching his knees to his chest. He watches the telephone poles whip by, each one looking like a gallows. He studies the back of Elias's head through the rear window, watching the smoke from the farmer's pipe curl around the cab. He waits for the truck to turn off into the woods. He waits for the gunshot. They arrive at the Thorne farm. It is a humble place, stripped bare by the war effort, struggling to survive the winter. The corn needs to be cut. It is back-breaking, repetitive work. The stalks are dry and sharp, cutting into hands that have never known a day of peace. Hans works with a frantic, desperate energy. He believes that his life is a transaction. Work or die. That is what the propaganda said. If he stops, if he shows weakness, the American farmer will pull the shotgun from the truck rack and end him. Hans hacks at the corn, his breath coming in ragged gasps. He ignores the blisters forming on his palms. He ignores the dizziness swimming in his vision. By midday, the malnutrition of the last 2 years in Germany catches up to him. His body, fueled only by adrenaline and fear, finally quits Hans Stumblet. The world tilts sideways. A falls face first into the dirt, crushing a stalk of corn beneath him. He freezes. Time stops. He waits for the shout. He waits for the blow. He squeezes his eyes shut, bracing for the bullet that he is certain is coming. He whispers a silent prayer to a God he hasn't spoken to since the bombings started in Berlin. Then he hears footsteps, heavy boots crunching on dry stalks. Slow, deliberate, the shadow falls over him, blocking out the pale winter sun. Hans curls into a ball, covering his head with his arms. A's Shane, a small gray pile in the vast American field. Then a smell hits him. It is not gunpowder. It is not root. It is not the metallic temps of blood. It is something warm, something sweet, something impossible. It is coffee and fresh, hot cornbread. Hans opens one eye. Elias Thorne is not holding a gun. He is holding a battered tin mug and a tin plate wrapped in a checkered cloth. Steam rises from the mug, swirling in the cold air, smelling of roasted beans and sugar scents that Hans has forgotten exist. Elias crouches down. His knees crack. He doesn't shout. He doesn't look angry. He extends the plate. The bread is golden, rough-textured, split down the middle, and slathered with butter that is slowly melting into the crumb. To a boy who has been eating sawdust bread and watery turnip soup for 2 years, this is not food. It is a hallucination. It is gold. Hans hesitates. He looks at the bread, then at Elias's face. He is looking for the trap. He is looking for the cruelty. But all he sees in the old farmer's eyes is a tired, quiet sadness. Hans reaches out. His hand shakes uncontrollably. He touches the warm tin. The heat travels through his fingertips, up his freezing arm, thawing the ice in his chest. He takes a bite. The taste is overwhelming. Salt, fat, warmth, sweetness. It explodes in his mouth. It shocks his system. It tastes like safety. It tastes like life. Hans lowers the bread. His lip quivers. Then he breaks. Tears spill onto his dirty cheeks, cutting tracks through the dust. He isn't crying from sadness. He isn't crying from the pain of his blisters or the cold in his bones. He is crying because the world has suddenly, violently, become kind. He is crying because he is 16, and he is alive, and someone has just fed him. Elias sits on a crate opposite him, lighting a pipe. The smoke drifts between them, the American father and the German son, separated by language, by war, by an ocean, yet bound together in this quiet corner of the earth. I have a boy, Elias says, his voice gravelly but soft, like grinding stones. He points to the west, toward the setting sun, somewhere out there. Hans doesn't speak English well. He knows military commands. He knows how to surrender. But he understands the tone. He understands the look in a father's eye. I am enemy, Hans whispers. It is the only label he has left. It is the only thing he knows how to be. Elias looks at the vast, empty sky. He looks back at the shivering boy in the Wehrmacht gray. He takes a long drag from his pipe. Out here, son, Elias says, the words hanging in the cold air. The only enemy is the cold, and the cold don't care what flag you salute. Ita, in that moment, the war ends. Not in Berlin, not in Tokyo, not with a signature on a treaty, but in a cornfield in Oklahoma. Months pass. The seasons turn. The brutal winter gives way to a tentative spring. Hans works every day at the farm. He grows stronger. The fear leaves his eyes. He learns to drive the tractor. He learns to fix the fence. He sits on the porch with Elias in the evenings, listening to the radio reports of the crumbling Reich. They rarely speak, but they communicate in the universal language of labor and respect. Elias shares his lunch. Hans shares his youth, his energy, filling the void left by Elias's absent son. Then comes May 1945. Germany surrenders. The camps erupt in a mix of relief and anxiety. The order comes down from Washington. Repatriation. The prisoners are to be sent back. They are needed to rebuild the shattered Europe. But Hans doesn't want to go. Germany is rubble and ash. It is a graveyard of memories. It is the place where he was forced to hold a gun. Oklahoma, with its wide skies, its hard work, and the silent kindness of Elias Thorne's home. The night before the transport trucks arrive to clear the camp, Hans does something desperate. He doesn't run toward the fence to escape into the wild. He runs toward the barn. He escapes to the prison, not away from it. He hides in the hayloft of the Thorne farm. He buries himself in the straw, refusing to move. He is a soldier who is deserting peace to stay in captivity. When the MPs find him, he finds Tim, not with punches, but with a grip on a wooden beam so tight his fingers bleed. He is screaming, begging in broken English, tears streaming down his face. Let me stay, please. I work. I am American. I am American. They drag him out. Elias stands on the porch, watching. There is nothing he can do. The law is ironclad. Post must return. The Geneva Convention is a cold mistress. As they shove Hans into the back of the truck, the boy locks eyes with the old farmer one last time. Elias takes off his dusty hat. He holds it over his heart. A salute, not to a soldier, not to an enemy, but to a friend, to a son. 50 years pass. Time moves like the wind on the plains, invisible, relentless, erasing everything in its path. The camp is gone. The barbed wire has rusted into the earth. The barracks are ghosts, reclaimed by the prairie grass. But in 1995, a car pulls up to the old Thorne farmhouse. An old man steps out. He is 71 years old now. He wears a tailored suit, but his hands are calloused from decades of honest work as a master carpenter in Chicago. It is Hans Weber. He did go back. He saw the ruins of Berlin. He saw the destruction of his childhood. But he clawed his way back. It took him 10 years of paperwork, of vetting, of waiting. But he returned. He became a citizen. He raised a family under the same flag that once imprisoned him. He walks up the path. The house is quiet. Elias has been dead for 20 years. Hans walks past the house to the small family plot under the ancient oak tree that has stood witness to it all. He kneels before a simple granite headstone. Elias Thorne. Beloved father. Hansa reaches into his pocket. His hand trembles, just as it did 50 years ago. He pulls out a small, foil-wrapped package. He unwraps it slowly, reverently. He places it on the grave. It is a piece of cornbread. He stays there for a long time, the Oklahoma wind tousling his white hair, just as it did when he was 16. History tells us that wars are fought with tanks and treaties. It tells us about lines on a map and casualties in a ledger. It tells us who won and who lost. But history often forgets the moments that actually matter. It forgets that hate is heavy and hard to carry, while kindness is as light as a piece of bread passed between trembling hands. It forgets that sometimes the greatest victory isn't defeating the enemy, but feeding him. Hans Weber came to America to destroy it. Instead, America destroyed him by killing the soldier and saving the boy. In the end, we are not defined by the uniforms we wear, but by the hands we hold when the world falls apart.